Alright, so I'm not in the best mood today, which is unfortunate because it's the last day of the month that I'm supposed to be in here, I guess, trying to convince you guys to stay with me. I really want to try and get to 5,000 subscribers next month on Patreon, so I'm hoping that as many of you guys stay with me as possible here. I'm not in the mood to do the young boy, so we'll do that tomorrow. I also have another rapper that I want to do that you're not expecting, but I don't want to give it away. And then I have this comedian stand-up that I want to watch. So I got some dope things planned for next month. For next week, not next month. For this week coming up tomorrow and the days after. It's also the last month before the NFL season starts. At the end of August, I'll probably up the price on Patreon. So that's another reason to stay with me. And I want to get a giveaway going for y'all too. But yeah, I'm not in the best mood cause so I got this video, right? And I just feel like I shouldn't have to drop this, man. I already, if somebody made a video on KSI, not somebody, if some kid like this with 20,000 subscribers or some shit made a video on KSI talking a bunch of shit, and I was involved in the type of shit that he was talking, I wouldn't believe the kid. I just feel like, so I posted some shit on my story. I asked them, should I make a video on it or should I leave it alone? I only left it up for 10 minutes. 85% of people told me they want me to make a video on it. I'm like, bro. So anytime some kid talks shit, I gotta come here and defend myself and prove that I'm telling the truth? So I'm really confused on if I should drop the shit or not. Because part of me feels like I shouldn't need to do the shit. So I'm not lying. It's fucking with my mood a little bit. I'm not in the right headspace to do a young boy video. I also haven't drank alcohol in a few days, so I'm not in the right headspace to do a young boy video. So I was looking up other videos and shit to do videos on. I want you guys to leave in the comments what videos you guys want to see from me this month. Please help me come up with some good video ideas. We can do some new series. Game of Thrones is about to drop. I might watch Game of Thrones on here with y'all every single goddamn week. I'm trying to think of what else we could do. I know LeBron's The Shop, when he drops his next episode, I thought that would be cool. But I'm trying to think of what dope series we can do. You know, maybe when Rick and Morty comes back out. Because I'm not trying to watch bullshit. But if there's some hot shit that y'all know that we would all enjoy, please let me know. Put me on. Anyways, I was trying to find some shit to watch, and I typed in EMONI Bates' name, and I came across this shit. Now, this is not me trying to perpetuate negativity. I'm genuinely curious on what happened with him, because the last I seen him, he was like the best nigga I've ever seen before. He was like the best ever. And this says he's second round pick at best. Transfers from Memphis to Eastern Michigan. So I have no idea what happened, so we're gonna watch it, check it out. Anyways, let me let my girl hit this blunt real quick because I wrote up that blue dream. You know what I'm saying? I know she wants some. Alright, let's check this shit out here, man.
History of high school basketball was one of the most hyped players in the history of high school basketball was EMONI Bates. He was called the 15-year-old Kevin Durant.
See, I already feel like this kid's hating. Why do I already feel like this kid's hating? Bro, he was nasty. I feel like he could have said that. I don't know. Am I hating by explaining his hate? This is all so confusing.
His skill so legendary, LeBron James gave him advice after an AAU game. I mean, LeBron was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 17 years old. EMONI did it at 15. As I said, he is the future of the NBA. Not even old enough to drive and likely to be a straight to the NBA #1 pick. Well, now...
I mean, he was disgusting. He was disgusting.
EMONI Bates may not even make the league. What happened is fascinating, but it's also a warning to every other young player trying to make the league. Bates was already on the radar as a 7th grader. He was 6'7" at 13 years old. Obviously, he would beat every 13-year-old on the planet. But by 15, he added the dribbling and the shooting that made...
6'7" at 13 is insanity.
People compare him to KD. Bates became the first sophomore to win Gatorade Player of the Year while he was playing at Lincoln High School. The hype was so big, his dad wanted to take control. He created a school called Yipsy Prep, centered around his son. 12 students, all teammates, taking online classes in a rented building outside of town.
Oh yeah, I need the blunt. I'm gonna need the blunt. I didn't think I was gonna need it. Apparently I need it. Hell no. What the fuck?
They were all coached by EMONI's summer ball coach and had a schedule playing some of the best teams in the U.S. People called EMONI's dad the next LeVar Ball, which could be a good thing or a horrible thing depending on who you ask. The real questionable decision was for EMONI to skip his senior year of high school. He was playing AAU for the first time at 16 years old, and other players were starting to catch up. It looked like EMONI might be a little overhyped when he played against better competition. Then a kid named Jalen Duren passed him as the #1 recruit. He decided to skip senior year, so EMONI joined him at the same college, Memphis. The problem...
Interesting.
...is EMONI was 17 years old. You have to be 19 to enter the NBA draft. So while Jalen became a lottery pick after one semester, EMONI has to stay in school. And...
So Jalen was just stupid then, right? That's why he was 19 in high school? Why did he think that that would work if they weren't the same age?
Once he got to a kid named Jalen Duren passed him as the #1 recruit. He decided to skip senior year, so EMONI joined him at the same college, Memphis. The problem is EMONI was 17 years old. You have to be 19 to enter the NBA draft. So while Jalen became a lottery pick after one semester, EMONI has to stay in school. And once he got to Memphis, it was obviously a mistake. The first red flag was his measurements. His hands were small. His wingspan was 6'7.25" That's not good when you're 6'9". His vertical, 24.5 inches. Tom Brady had a 24.5 inch vertical, and Pro Scouts said he...
This is a tricky video because anything really you say is going to sound like, hey, by the way, I didn't mean to call that kid stupid. This is a tricky video. Anything you say is going to sound like, hey, this is what I'm going to say. This is honestly feeding into my Anthony Davis point that I tried to make to y'all. That I don't think people realize how difficult it is to be Anthony Davis, man. I really don't think y'all are really grasping it.
He was unathletic for football. But fans were like, all right, this isn't a huge deal. Look, he's super skilled. He has time. Then the game started.
That's not true at all. Tom Brady went late as fuck in the draft. They weren't like, all right at all. They thought Tom Brady was going to be trash because he wasn't physical at all.
EMONI averaged 7 points on awful efficiency and made no one better. And look, I guess those numbers are decent for a 17-year-old in college, but not for a potential #1 pick. The Tigers got off to a horrible 11-8 start when EMONI went down with a back injury.
He should have milked it. He should have milked it. He should have did like LaMelo. That shit LaMelo did might have been the smartest shit for him. They might have tore LaMelo ass up in college. Only because it's so systematic and some of those guys are You know what I mean? It might have been the best thing to milk it. Isn't that the same shit Jalen Green did, kinda? Was Jalen Green getting buckets in the summer? I don't know how hard the G League is. I'm assuming that college is the toughest of them all.
And people are like, oh yeah, typical, obviously he's going to quit the team, he's just going to leave, face some adversity. But no, Imani showed back up to support his guys who were taking off without him. Memphis became one of the best teams in the country without Imani Bates. They only lost 2 games the rest of the year and made the NCAA tournament.
I had no idea any of this happened, by the way. This is all breaking news to me.
He returned in March Madness, but the year was a disaster. Imani then quit school and announced he would transfer for his final year of college. But one report said he was actually kicked off the team. Rumors said Imani told recruits not to go play for his coach Penny Hardaway at Memphis. Imani probably blamed Penny for his struggles. I mean, he missed training camp, he was just 17 years old, but Penny started him day one anyway. But Imani had a list of 6 schools to transfer to, including some huge programs.
Penny probably didn't want to start him from day one. Penny probably had to start him from day one. Memphis made it clear to the coach, yo, Imani is fucking starting day one. And he probably didn't like it from the very beginning. I'm guessing here. This is all guessing. This would be my guess. And they probably told him like, yo, you probably have to come off the bench second year or some shit. And he was like, fuck that, and got the fuck about it.
But he chose Eastern Michigan. Yes, it gave him a chance to play back near home, but are we even sure any of those big schools wanted him? And the real question here is, what happened? How did a no-doubt top pick fall to a second rounder at best? Imani still would have time to improve his draft spot, but right now he's a long shot. I believe there are several people to blame. I will name them, but not Penny Hardaway.
This is tricky, man. This is tricky. Again, we don't have all of the facts, so I'm really not trying to just go off of everything that this guy's saying. Even though at 200,000 subscribers, he's way credible than the guy that some of y'all believe, but I digress. One thing that I noticed when I used to follow him on Instagram and stuff like that, he would post a lot of coon shit. And I don't mean like nothing violent or any guns or nothing like that. I just mean like in his bio and the way that he talked on his story or on his he talked like a coon. Which is cool. I was just a little worried. I'm worried about his influences. Because he shouldn't have, as soon as you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated, man, you're in the game. You're in the game. Everything you do from that point until the time after you retire, depending on how good you are, is under a microscope. You're in the game. It's all about markability and brandability at that point. You're in the goddamn game. So I would blame the people around him. Primarily the older people. Not the people his age, because they growing up with him. The people my age and older, 27 and up, Those were the people that were supposed to make sure that he was the best. If he would have been my little bro, I wouldn't have had him around. Probably none of this he was around.
Yes, he played EMONI quick, but he was pressured after the number one player chose his school. I point the finger at anyone who compares a 15-year-old to Kevin Durant. I mean, even if a young kid is talented...
So it's our fault? No. What?
Those comps will kill his career. Anything he does will be...
Interesting take. So he's saying that it's my fault. And all the people that were making them videos. I mean, the nigga looked like KD, bro. If you that good to where they making them comps, you can't run from that. I don't know about this one. I don't know.
He looked on as a failure. Andrew Wiggins is a perfect example. Remember he was compared to LeBron in college? Well, that stuck with him years into his NBA career. Instead of just appreciating what Andrew Wiggins brings to the game, everyone was like, well, you told me he would be the GOAT. Now imagine that happening to a 15-year-old kid on Sports Illustrated. I mean, maybe like the barbershop, but not the national media. Anything EMONI did after that was a disappointment, unless he is KD. That's not fair, and it's a lot of pressure. One of the few guys that I've seen actually pull.
It's a lot of fucking pressure. It's a lot of pressure. I wouldn't even say Zion pulled it off. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, this just goes to show you what I'm saying, man. Why AD? Why LeBron? Why they them boys, man? We them boys, man.
All this off is Zion Williamson, and even he is facing a lot of heat. The other person that comp affected was EMONI's dad, EJ. The spotlight went right to his head. He told Sports Illustrated, you know, sometimes players just go with the flow, not really setting themselves up for generational wealth. If EMONI's in that position, I want to make sure he is in control with everything he does. Okay, dude, the words generational wealth should never be mentioned when your kid is 15 years old. Dad got money signs in his eyeballs, and right when things got tough at AAU ball, he pulled his kid out of Lincoln and just created his own school. Then they skipped college, which set EMONI up to fail at 17 years old.
It's tough to blame his dad because, I mean, his dad definitely wanted the best for him, even though he might have made some bad decisions. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize I'm not going to single out his dad, is what I'm not going to do. He might have made some questionable decisions, but his dad definitely wanted him to go to the league more than any of us. I do think that creating your own school was not the way to go. That's pretty crazy to me objectively. That's a very that's dreaming big.
But this isn't all other people's fault. There are red flags around EMONI's attitude. I mean, the rumors about him getting kicked off Memphis aren't good, but in high school, a fight he had got a lot of attention. A teammate named Jaden Akins got upset at EMONI on the court, like teammates do, and the two had words. But instead of squashing it, Yipsy Prep just kicked Akins off the team. The kid had to scramble to find another school before college, but people wondered if this was an example of Yipsy being so focused on just EMONI. Instead of dealing with adversity, they just expel anyone who causes a problem for...
I mean, I hate to be on the side of Imani here, but my nigga, if you're going to a school that was made just for me, it's probably in your best interest to not talk shit about me. That's just, being smart. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say to that
Mr.
one.
Bates. Now, the good news is Imani is still projected to be an NBA player. He is an early second-round pick by the Orlando Magic in ESPN's latest mock. That is amazing for any normal kid. A nightmare for the so-called...
No, he's a monster, though. He's a monster. If he gets the conditioning where it needs to be, he'll be a monster.
Number one pick, though. I just hope that he can find a way to be grateful for the NBA dream. The worst example of an overhyped player falling from grace was Todd Marinovich. His dad wanted Todd to be an NFL player so bad, he started training him as an infant right out of the crib. Now, it worked at first. He became a star quarterback in high school, recruited by every major college, but he chose his dad's alma mater, USC. Showed real promise, but he had behavioral issues that led him to leave school early. Even then, the NFL drafted him in the first round. But only 2 years into his career, it was done after failing multiple drug tests. Todd is still a mess at 52 years old, and people wonder how much his childhood had to do with it. Now, I'm not saying Imani Bates is the next Todd Marinovich at all. My point is, nothing good happens when a super young player is cursed with Hall of Fame expectations.
The problem is, and this is just something that these kids are going to have to get used to, now you can cap a lot younger than you could cap before. Okay? When I was growing up in school, the fucking number one kid or whatever the fuck, he didn't have fucking Instagram. He didn't have millions of fucking followers. With that comes a lot of cap, a lot of bitches you can hit, a lot of drugs you can do, a lot of blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of cap that is thrown at these kids a lot faster now than it was for whoever else, any other type of generation there is. So it's going to be a tough adjustment. But it's always, whenever, even like they're saying with Todd, whenever you're that boy, or like the kid that was the best when I was in school, whenever you're that boy, there's temptation. There's temptation. Whenever you're the boy, there's temptation. Hopefully Imani figures this shit out, man. This is unfortunate.
By the way, I mentioned Jalen Duren, who passed Imani in the high school rankings right before college. They both went to Memphis together. Jalen Duren just made himself a lottery pick. He went to the Detroit Pistons, and that's one of the reasons I gave Detroit an A in the draft. Check out the rest of my...
So yeah, that's gonna do it. I had no idea any of this happened. I had no idea about any of this. A lot of you guys probably know about this. I had no idea about any of this. Anyways, let me know what you want to see from me this week on Patreon. I'll be back with some more slammers this week when I'm in a little bit better of a mood. I thank you guys all for sticking with me. I hope you guys continue to join me on this ride. I promise it'll be worth it. Barely even uploading on YouTube. Anyways, I'm out here, man. Peace.